Welcome. We are back. Another day in the market, another red day. Champion Bear is doing pretty well. Hope everybody had a good day, regardless of the market. All right, forget the stock market for a second. I just hope you woke up with a smile on your face and that you ate some good food today. Maybe you had some good conversations. That's what we're about to do right now. A little bit of a different stream tonight. A lot more relaxed. We're still going to be looking at charts and talking about stocks. But I have this small inner circle group called Champ Circle, and we're just going to be hopping on a call for all of you, chopping it up, talking about the market. So I'm about to join in. We got Papa Strata, Strom, and Zeke ready to go. So it's going to be fun. Just going to be kicking back, talking about what's going on, get some other perspective apart from just mine. And yeah, let me join in the call with them right now.
Types of things that like corporations normally deal with when that happens.
What's up, guys?
Hey, Champ.
What's up, y'all?
What's up?
How's it going?
It's going good, man. How about yourself? How's everything?
It's good. Been pretty bearish, and that's been playing out. But definitely could have been a little bit better on some timings of things. But we always have more time in the market, and that's what I tried to remind myself about. What about you guys? Anyone?
Yeah. Been doing pretty well today. Was kind of a rough day. But the bear thesis definitely has been helping me. I've definitely been looking for more put plays than calls intraday.
Yep.
And I mean, so far it's just it's been a lot stronger of a move than I really thought would happen this quickly.
Yeah.
But it's been cool to see it play out. Analysis has been good, so.
It is quite crazy. Let me actually make sure I'm sharing my screen with all of you as well. This is probably the better one. All right, now you guys can see my screen. Yeah, I was pretty bearish over the past couple of weeks. On Monday, I got into maybe a little bit too much of puts on Monday, and if you remember, Monday and Tuesday were actually pretty much, I mean, Monday technically closed red, but both days we went up intraday. And I had some weekly puts too, and the theta really got crushed on them. I had weekly Nvidia puts, which I actually sold today. But I also had SPY puts expiring next week. I also sold those today. So I was short the whole entire week until this morning, and then I took profits on those SPY puts in the morning. And right now I'm all cash. Swings have been pretty good, thankfully. But it's been a little bit tough to see what's next, because even I was expecting this to drop in the market, but we do get like decent variables for a bounce like we did today and back to back. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to correctly predict like the reversal on SPY, and it's just like we're getting to this interesting place where it still looks bearish on the daily, but you can only sell off so much without bouncing. So it's like, when does the bounce come in is kind of the bigger question. As my dog enters the room. But I don't know, what are you guys thinking overall in the markets? I'll start with you, Papa Strata. What do you feel like from here on out? Kind of, what does it look to you? You want to, if any one of you wants to share your screen, you're welcome to do that as well.
What's up, man? Yeah, so same thesis here, pretty much. Watching this 410 level, that's pretty huge. But as far as like just day to day, been keeping it pretty lax, going, finishing up this year. Pretty good year for me. So, best year of my trading career so far. So just trying to hold up to these gains, and like I said, just taking it easy. Really, the past few months, gonna be on vacay coming up, so really just looking to just really relax the next couple months. Nothing too serious. Have some risk. I'm like 3% of my portfolio in some AI right now. That's about it. But other than that, man, just been chilling, really.
All right, love to hear. You going somewhere fun?
Yeah, the last trip of the year is we're gonna be heading to Miami for my girl's birthday. So
Oh, awesome, man.
that'll be fun. But yeah, just been real busy, just getting some family time in. Just being
Yeah,
around the computer so much, it's nice to get a good break from the screens and
absolutely.
just spending some time out with my family and friends. And so yeah, it's been a good year. Looking forward to to go into next year pretty strong. So
Love it. What about you, Strom?
Yeah, things have been going all right. It's similar what you guys are saying. It's definitely looking at more put plays. Um, I think the only thing that I've really struggled with is just like I've been staying in some plays a little too long. Um, especially now if like you do find a um like a bullish play, um it's kind of short lived. So the only thing that I've struggled with is if I might get 20% and I'm holding out for a little more just to think that the continuation, and it's not there. So
Yeah,
I'm not seeing the normal gains that you would when you're trying to scale out. Um, so that's probably been my biggest struggle. In terms of what's kind of coming up, I think I'm probably gonna take it easy. Um, with next week we got FOMC, um, and that crazy sell off at least for the SPY at the end of the day. I shouldn't say crazy, but it kind of looked like there was a chance for a rebound, and then erased all that away, pretty much. Um, I'm not sure where it was at after hours. I think it was rebounding a little bit, but
yeah,
I mean, yeah, I think there were some good earnings. I didn't see everything. I mean, like I saw Amazon was the main thing, and then what was there? Ford, Intel,
yep.
um, like was Chipotle today or was that yesterday?
Chipotle was today.
That was today, and I think they killed it if I remember reading that correctly. But I mean,
Yeah,
I didn't dig into any of those numbers. But yeah, so I might not even trade tomorrow. It's I'll have to take a look, or like take it really slowly and be patient because it looked like we had a good rebound and then we completely sold off. Maybe that was just to scare some people out. I don't know, because of the earnings. But we'll see. And actually, I'm thinking we have what um ExxonMobil, I think's in the morning.
yep,
So I mean that could direct or lead a lot of the energy plays. I'm not
100%.
yeah. So there's a lot of news. I mean it seems like no matter what the news has been, there's still been bearish. I heard someone make a joke of Amazon's gonna kill it and the market's still gonna sell off, but
Yeah.
who knows?
I mean, statistically, just talking about earnings really quickly, statistically, over the course of the stock market's history, whenever a company announces earnings, most of the time, the initial move actually holds and you start drifting in that direction for a while. And we saw, some names this week, like I think Tesla and Google, both of them, they gapped down from their earnings. We can take a look at the charts right now. They gapped down on their earnings and then they have been continuing lower. And that's kind of a given because the market's also going down. But the interesting part is that you have the flip side to that where names like, let's say Google, Microsoft, which initially went up on earnings, is selling off. Amazon going a little bit back and forth. And we've seen a pretty decent amount of good numbers coming from these companies this week, and they're just not holding. So it's kind of like, as long as the market continues lower on these earnings for most of them, I know Intel was kind of the exception to that today, but for most of them, it's kind of like if they have a bad earnings, they're just going to keep dropping lower and lower, even for multiple days. And if they have the good earnings, it could be like short the pop, not financial advice, but it's kind of just like all of these companies reporting earnings are just pretty much announcing that their stock is about to drop. And I'm saying that in a very exaggerated, sarcastic way, but that's what's been happening to most of these stocks. Yeah, Khan in the chat, Met is a great example. It's like, all right, this is the day we're announcing our earnings, so our stock's dropping now. It's obviously it's not literally what's happening. I'm just making a joke, but that's kind of what it's been like for most of these stocks. And as long as the market continues lower, this is one of the first times in a while where the earnings just really have not mattered that much. And in time, I'm sure a lot of them will. Ford especially, I don't know why I didn't think about it with all of the strikes that Ford had. I think they announced that there was over $1 billion in losses due to those strikes. I don't know why I didn't put two and two together that they'd probably have a rough reaction to the earnings when that happened within the last quarter. But Ford sold off on the earnings. I don't know. It's like even on good earnings, some of them are just dropping. And next week, we had GDP today, and initially we started bouncing on that. We go over to the SPY. If we go to 8:30 in the morning, let's see, where's that? Pretty much right here. This is when the GDP came out this morning. We start ripping, right? Like just like a lot of these stocks, they have good earnings. For the first 20 minutes after hours, they start ripping, and then they just give it up. That's just how bearish the market is. And there's 1,000 different pieces to the debate of why we're selling off the way we are, whether it's technical, whether it's geopolitical, whether it's based on the Fed. It honestly is probably a mix of everything. And there could even be some stuff under the radar that most of us don't even know about yet. It's very similar to what happened in 2008, where the general public did not know what was going on behind the scenes until it was too late. And I mean, bonds at least are kind of reacting the same way that they did prior to that. So it's a bearish environment, that's for sure right now. But we're still up on the year, and that's like the one thing. Until like we break lows of the year, we're still up on the year, which is like, okay, it could still be a technically good year for the market, even though it was better at one point. So it's a little bit tricky. I've been trying to think outside the box with like the short swings, bond swings, and then just looking for more defensive names for regular long equity swings. But it's not an easy market to navigate by any means without risk management and a good education. And it's really times like these and that really like prove who's been putting in the work trading. And for those of you that had a bad day, a bad week, a bad month, I'm not saying you're not putting in the work. I'm just saying that you still have some more to learn. I still have some more to learn. I had a really big loss on Monday. And these are the markets that really teach you a lot. And if you can figure it out during when the market's like this, then you're really just set to excel. And you can't get too stuck on one side. Like I've been very, very bearish recently. And today I was wrong. Like I kind of flipped over to bullish for a little bit intraday, and I was wrong about that. And now, typically to most people, they'd be like, all right, we're going to go up tomorrow, then we're going to go up the day after. Then like, I don't know. Like tomorrow I'm just going to go and see what happens. And that's really as simple as it is. Zeke, we haven't gotten to you yet. I feel like you might have a lot you want to share. So I'm going to let you take the microphone and talk about whatever you want.
Not really. I feel like you guys did cover most of kind of what I'm thinking too. It is interesting that most of the earnings have been pretty decent and it just really hasn't mattered at all. The one thing though is like, Apple's the king of the market and reports next week. Today it lost its 200-day moving average with some pretty high volume. And if its earnings are bad or whatever, like if it just has a bad reaction to it and really like falls even further from it, then I think that could give us even more confirmation that there could be more selling ahead than we've even gotten yet.
Yeah.
Not straight down, but it's not really a good sign if Apple's below its 200-day. But yeah, it's tough with all the news, like Strawn mentioned. I think good things don't really do too much. Bad things seem to do a lot more.
Yeah.
The other thing, if you go over to the weekly on SPY,
Yep.
this week we definitely broke that trend from last year's lows. So I'd be interested to see, kind of like what you were just saying, like we've gone down quite a lot recently. If there's some sort of retest of that with some kind of bounce that we get, maybe not even all the way, but I don't know, maybe like either we just keep flushing straight down afterwards or get some sort of retest, but I don't know.
I mean, the real scary part to this is that I don't think, I'm going to say before I even say what I'm about to say, I don't think the SPY is going to 250 within the next year. But the scary part to this is that if this is somehow one of the most epic, crazy harmonics playing out right now, the real selling / short point technically would not even be until 350, which is breaking the B point of this potential bullish bat. So it's like, first, you have another 15% to drop just to test lows of the year and your lowest prices since we got the V-shaped recovery from the COVID crash. And then if you break that point, probability says you could also drop another 26% to get your full 88% retrace of the COVID crash. And if we do have a true recession, then, that's a lot more possible. So this is not how I'm trading at all. It's just something in the back of my mind. There is the potential that this is the start of something very, very bad. And the last few weeks have been pretty bad, but it could get a lot worse. And just having that perspective allows me to be a lot more calm with not really performing maybe as much as I want to trading in the short term. If we keep selling off, there is going to be so much more short side opportunity, and eventually in a beautiful, potentially life-changing long opportunity. And if this is just a pullback and we ripped all-time highs, you also are probably going to get a pretty accelerated move. I think regardless of which way we go from here, we're going to get an aggressive move within the next couple of months. We had a pretty calm, uptrending market until August this year. And now it looks like the market's really kind of turning its gears back on. I'm sure we're going to have consolidation ranges along the way, but this volatility in general, for an educated trader, for all of you watching the stream, for the other 3 people in this call, for everyone in the Discord, even if up until this point, whether it's in the last month you're not doing well, the last 3 years you're not doing well, up until this point, even if you haven't figured it out yet, this is creating so much more opportunity for you to be right. And you can just be right for 2 months and change your life. That's how much money you can make if you finally find your system and implement it the right way. So I am genuinely excited for the market really starting to move again. And that's something I really want to note. Like, this is just creating so much opportunity. And I finally feel like we're getting to the point where a good amount of people that I've spent the last few years trying to teach what I know, which is not everything by any means, are finally like really starting to get the points that I'm making. And I do genuinely believe within 1 to 2 years, most of us that have been around for the past few years, all the common names you see in the chat, in the Discord that have stuck around, I genuinely believe we're all going to have a really good next couple of years, regardless of what the market does. Because I'm just seeing improvements by everyone. I've improved so much this year in so many different ways. And my only losses from this year are simply days where I just didn't follow my risk management. I don't have any losing streak this whole entire year longer than a week or 2. I did not have any consistent losing months this whole entire year. And yes, we did go up most of the year, but even in the last 3 months, I've done better in the last few months when the market's selling off than I did in the whole entire year when it was rallying. And there was a lot of other factors that I wasn't trading as much in the beginning of the year, but it's I just finally feel like even myself, I'm getting to this point where I'm impressing myself how much I've actually learned when I actually felt like I got to a point when I made the full course and I started streaming. I feel like I understood most of this stuff. And you can learn all these technical patterns, you can learn all the fundamental analysis, but it's really when you start to put together an actual system, it's that's when you realize, oh my gosh, this can change my life. And I don't even consider my life changed yet through trading. It definitely has changed up until this point, but I just want to, I know I'm not being super literal about what's happening in the market right now, but I just want to kind of zoom out a bit and just take a look at as long as you have something to trade with right now, whether it's a little or a lot, just use your knowledge with that amount of money. Use all of your knowledge. Use the risk management knowledge, the analysis knowledge, go back and forth with people in the Discord. That's why I really love doing these calls with you guys. We we can figure this all out together. And that's like the super cool thing about this group, and I don't see it in a lot of other groups. All the other groups are mainly just, what's the next trade? How am I going to make 300% profit in 2 hours on 0 DTEs? Like, trust me, I love doing that too, but there's just so much more to this that I don't think a lot of people are focusing on the long-term aspect of what's happening right now in the market. It's just, yeah, in the short term, it looks ugly. We're selling off. Surprise, surprise. But just want to do a little bit more of a philosophical talk to this. Let's continue a little bit. I'm going to give my thoughts on what I think is potentially taking place here. On the 4 we did get an inverted hammer. Futures are green. Intel earnings probably helped out quite a bit with that. I'm not sure if we bounce tomorrow, to be honest, because we're gapping up in a pretty bearish market. A lot of times that sets up a nice equation for another day of just selling off a lot because the buyers stepped in overnight, kind of similar to what happened after the GDP this morning. But I do think that next week we're going to start to see like the first decent bounce within the sell-off. And I'm not necessarily talking about this whole sell-off. I'm just talking about this part of it. I think next week we should see the first 23%, 38% retrace of this sell-off. It is still even possible to go all the way back up to the 200-day moving average. So I think a bounce next week is likely. I don't feel like we have the exact atmosphere of sentiment in the market to just keep selling off like this. I think it's going to be more of what we've been seeing, kind of sell off, make a decent retrace, sell off, make a decent retrace. We're probably going to do that again. But I don't think we've hit lows like overall in this downtrend. I think 410 will eventually be broken. Maybe we'll go back to the 300s and then we'll take it from there. Unless we get some super mega bullish pattern. I mean, there is this view to it. I'm not a huge fan of using this as like the start of harmonic, but theoretically if you did, then you're pretty much at getting to the pattern completion zone of a bullish bat if you did choose that starting point. So that could be something that adds to the equation. Potential classic bullish divergence on the daily and on the 1 hour chart. The NASDAQ actually completely flushed below. I just realized this today. Here's my NASDAQ chart. Do I not? Oh, it's this one. It flushed below the 200-day moving average, but the Qs have not even gotten to it yet. So that's also another key level to watch. All right. Let's move on a little bit. Do any of you have any charts that you've been keeping an eye on that you want to talk about? Whether if you just want to talk about some patterns I didn't mention in the overall markets or some individual stocks. I know Nvidia is a big one. Pretty much hit the first target of the short swing today. Do you guys have any charts you want to discuss?
Not necessarily, but I think it's pretty interesting how, you talk about a lot when stocks or indexes go pretty straight up without much consolidation, especially if you look at QQQ from like March of earlier this year to where we just made recent highs. Like it consolidated a little bit, maybe around like that 315 area, but it really went pretty vertical. So I mean, if this move continues down, then like what goes up comes down pretty similar speeds a lot of the time.
Yep.
So I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, that is definitely true. We could get like even if we do bounce a little bit next week, we could definitely get like a leg where we drop just as quick as we did in the last couple of days again, especially if you break the 200-day on. I feel like probably what the Qs do with the 200-day moving average depends on Apple's earnings, unless we just completely blow through it before then. So we will see. Strong Papa Strata. Yeah, go ahead.
AK mentioned on Twitter, I think it was yesterday or the day before, this monthly candle closes next week, Monday, Tuesday. It's gonna be the third
Tuesday.
red monthly candle in a row on SPY and QQQ, which hasn't happened since the COVID crash, and before then on SPY I looked, it was 2011, which was the last time, which was pretty interesting too.
Yeah, now that I look back at it, that's not happened in a very long time.
And COVID was like, one time thing, yeah, right there.
Yeah, COVID, you didn't even get a sell off like that. I mean, I'm not going to count this little candle. It's technically just flat. Very interesting. One of the Champ Circle members not in the call right now, Gold Miner, I see you in the chat. How about the IWM? Let's take a look at that now. It's the huge make or break area. If it cracks 162-ish, you're back at COVID crash prices. And like I said on the SPY on the weekly, it's once you break that B point is when the real short sell can begin. And this is currently testing the B point. So this is your ultimate test. Are you going to hold the same support you have not broken since 2020? Are you going to break it and enter new lows for a lot of different small caps that are already, some of them are already well below their previous all-time lows? We will see. Let me see if there's any other interesting chats to talk about.
It's been pretty interesting to see Bitcoin have some strength while the market's been dropping like it has.
Absolutely. End phase, I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of it under that 113, 114 level. That was kind of your major support. Under that, it's like pretty much nothing. I mean, there's a few past highs. All right, Boeing. Also, I think 193 was the key level. It broke that, back tested, now it's selling. Let's switch it up a little bit now, everyone. We're gonna do two different things. All right. We're gonna do first, I'll start it off, then I want you three to continue. Within the last month, what was your biggest strength trading and what was your biggest weakness trading? I'll start. My biggest strength trading in the last month was my conviction. I feel like I really had confidence in a lot of my trades, and no matter how confident I was able to not really, for the most part, except for this Monday, let that kind of create too large of position sizes. And I just kept winning and winning and winning without letting it get to my head and letting my ego get big. So I said it's my strength, and then I would say my weakness over the past month is probably just not being as attentive as I can to levels on charts during my trades. I've been a lot more, and it has kind of helped in some situations. And what I mean by this is in a lot of my recent trades, I have just really focused on the more key levels at plate in hopes of getting like larger moves in terms of profits. And that has led to some really nice trades. But it's kind of not let me scale out of my trades as good as I usually am at doing so. So I would say that's my strength and weakness. Papa Strata, what would you say is like your, within the last month or so, trading your biggest strength and weakness?
For sure. I would say the biggest strength and the weakness have actually been the same.
Okay.
Whereas I've just been exiting in my trades like fairly soon, which has been locking in profits. But I had been leaving some upside there on the table, which really can't complain about. But sometimes when you do leave some at least leaving some runners, of course, would usually help with that. But I just been locking in those gains just to secure some profits.
Yeah.
But of course, sometimes it doesn't mean that once you're out of trade, of course, still can go up. So that's what the biggest thing I've seen is just again locking those profits early, just leaving some stuff on the table. So again, it's kind of a plus and a minus to that. Can't really complain about locking in those gains, but like I said, haven't really been leaving much on the table, at least for some runners. Just been pretty much just going 100% exit when I do. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I haven't really had about a handful of trades the past like month, but in those few trades, that's something that I've definitely noticed is that for sure.
I think that's very good advice to a lot of people here. Thank you. Strom, let's go with you.
Yeah, so I'll continue and echo what Papa Strata just said, at least on the weakness side, because I mentioned it before of where I had a winning trade, I've taken some off, and I've gotten and this is where my strength, this is also the strength that I've had too, is that I've definitely been able to see price action a lot cleaner than I have in the past. And so I'll hit maybe my first target on a trade, and then I'll start to see, all right, maybe I should exit the rest of my position, but because I'm feeling too comfortable, the fact that I've already taken some off the table, that I can keep a couple runners or something along those lines, and then I hold them on for too long. So um it's kind of like the same thing that Papa's trying to saying of it, especially in a volatile market, is to make sure you get your base hits, and there's nothing wrong with that in volatile times. Um, and then the other thing too is, so I guess this is kind of the weakness. Um, there's you said the conviction, champ.
Yep.
So like with seeing the price action, I've actually had some conviction, at least in my thinking, to get in, and that's worked out well. And then I see it to get out, but that's where like I hesitate.
Okay.
So it's 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 kind of the same thing of it's a strength and a weakness. Like I'm I'm not hesitating to get in, but I am hesitating to take everything off the table when I feel that things are starting to change. Um, so yeah, I think it's just I've started to do it this week, of where just take the base hits, especially on the bullish um, trades that I've made, and just be happy with taking gains. And it's there's nothing wrong with that. Of green is green. You know that old saying, and
Yep.
there'll be other days, I think, and other times to try and get those big runs and you know, triple baggers and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Awesome. Max in the chat agrees with you. He says base hits, yes. Thank you. Zeke, let's go to you. Biggest strength and weakness in the past month?
The biggest strength, I would say, kind of similar to what Strom was just saying. Like, I used to, when I got to target levels, I used to not take enough off initially and leave too big of like a runner size. And then either it would work out sometimes, and then other times it would reverse on me, and then I would lose a lot more of profits than I would have wanted to. So I think that has been really good, like taking off a bigger piece of my position into a target or resistance or support level and leaving a smaller size, because I used to be really bad at that.
Yeah.
And then weakness, this has always been my weakness, so I wouldn't even say it's the past month. I get on good streaks, and I get overconfident, and everything I touch, I think that, you know, you get that feeling where like everything you touch turns to gold, but that's not how it works. And after those kinds of streaks that I go on, I tend to lose some of my risk management rules, and then it turns into a bigger loss than I really would have wanted to take. So yeah, I'm trying to work on that.
Yeah.
It's been difficult. Oh my.
That's been a common theme with me since I started trading, is that I can trade like damn near perfectly for like a month and a half, and then I just have one day, and I've tried to figure out why these days happen, but I still don't know why. I'm sure there's some sort of an explanation, or it's just chance, even though it should never be a chance. But there's just some days I wake up and like literally one day out of, let's say, 40 days of trading, I just wake up and forget my risk management rules. And that can take away like 20 of those days of profits in like one day. So I've definitely tried what I used to do a lot, especially, I mean, I started this when I was like 18, and I would see people on Twitter posting 600, 700K profits in a day. And I'm like, they're changing their lives, I can do it too. And then comparing yourselves to people, I just figured over time, it's like the stupidest thing to do as a trader. You should learn from people, but never be like, oh, they're making that much money, I should too. And I used to catch myself doing that a lot. I would just be like, normally trading, I would see somebody else get like a crazy profit, and then I would take on more risk and it wouldn't work out. So definitely gotten better at it. But I know it's a very common thing for a lot of people where it's like you feel like you're doing so well trading and you're making profits day after day, and then there's just that one day that just wipes out so many days of gains. And it definitely can be very demoralizing and tough to deal with mentally, because it's like within 2 hours you can give up what you spent 20 days working on. I don't really know any other job, I wouldn't call this a job, like career, where that really happens. Maybe like real estate or something where you're waiting on a deal to close, but you can take away a lot of work with one stupid decision. And that's why you really have to, like, I don't know, you have to just force your mind to really become a system where it doesn't even become a possibility. You taking on that risk that you're not ready for yet can't even be a possibility. And another thing I did, apart from like stopping to compare myself to others, especially like just being in this position I am, like I've met a lot of people that are a lot more successful than me, and it's like, all right, you see somebody doing really well, don't be like, I can do that too. Be like, sure, I can do that too, but in a while. How do I learn the steps it takes to get to where they're at, instead of how do I get to where they're at today, which is just very not possible. And then another thing I've done is really utilized moving funds in and out of my accounts. Like withdrawing is very important to me right now. My account size changes a lot. My trade size is the same pretty much always, but my overall account size, based on how my emotions are, I heavily change my account size. And I don't know what brokers everyone's using, but like if I want to trade again, I can just put the funds right back in the account and then use them. But just not having that like bigger number in my account helps me mentally to not be like, okay, I have this much in my account, let me use a larger amount of it. It's like, it doesn't matter what's in your account. What matters is what your trade size is. So whenever I feel like, I'm doing really, really hot and there's a chance I might slip up and triple my position size one morning out of nowhere, because a lot of these trades I take within like 20 minutes of waking up, I start withdrawing from my account. And then when I'm back to more of like a stable mindset, I put the funds back in my account just so I have more liquidity. So I definitely think it's important to use, like, you can have a very strong mindset, and that's always something you should be working on, but try to find as many little tricks as you can to prevent those rare occurrences of you just kind of messing up and not following your rules. Use as many tricks as you can create. I know, Zeke, I think you've talked about, I don't know if you have like what did you do? Did you have like a bookmark of your rule sheet on your computer? Like, did you print it out or something? What were you telling me?
Yeah, I just made a Google Doc.
Mm-hmm.
I've be honest, I've been pretty lazy about looking at it just because I've seen it so many times. But yeah, printing it out. I have written down some things like on my like computer like dock or at the base of it, not the monitor, but got little sticky notes. But yeah, having it out in front of you is definitely a better way to try to enforce it than just in your mind. At least for me, I can tell myself something, but actually sticking to it is a lot harder if it's just in your head the whole time.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's read some chats.
One thing on that,
yeah,
CB,
go ahead.
if I can jump in.
Yep.
One thing I've done is, specifically on my SPY chart, because pretty much that's all I really trade is my SPY. On the TradingView little like notes tab, typically, when you press that little like 3 icon thing, it kind of has like your watch list to the side. It has like a little note function. So instead of like seeing the price on the bottom where the SPY is, like on your chart, you can kind of see BTC. I have like the little note section. If you can see that on the right, if you can click on that for me, CP. Yeah.
I actually don't know what that is.
A little bit more.
Okay. I know what you're talking about. This, yes.
So then I literally have like my little like commandments, I call them. I just have it like permanently there. So that definitely seems to help for sure for anyone.
That's pretty cool. I
100%.
didn't even know that was a thing.
I have seen that before, but I
leave
forgot
it there
about
too
it.
in the corner.
Yeah.
Cool.
I like that.
Interesting. I'll try that. Thank you.
Let's read some chats really quick. Lynn to Glenn, just pointing out the break of pre-pandemic levels for the IWM. So far, it's been the canary in the coal mine. It's pointing a strong downtrend that did not partake in this AI mania. Hype the big names, Scott. That's a very, very good point you bring up. And that's something that I probably should have also put more thought into. A large reason as to why the Russell and all these small caps have underperformed is probably a lot of these companies with less money have less funds to invest in a transition towards AI models, like names like Meta and Nvidia and Apple and all of them. So that's a very good point. 10-10, especially when stuff is moving fast recently, those home runs turn into doubles, those doubles turn into singles real quick. Reese Trades in the chat says, read The Mental Game of Trading by Jared Tendler, and I bet you could figure it out. And then Respect Seek and Champ. Never easy to talk about the bad things. Yeah, I used to kind of shy away from talking about bad things on the stream, like bad trading stuff on the stream, because I just wanted to teach the good things and what I was doing that was working so other people could replicate that. But then I realized that it's probably even more useful to teach the bad things to prevent people from doing that. Medi in the chat says, strategy that worked for me if I'm trading with trend is selling half at target and putting stop loss at 10% and keep runner. Every 10% gain, I move my stop loss up by 10% until it sells. Love that. The candle by candle strategy that Jordan used as well is really good. Dave says, thanks for especially emphasizing risk management, especially after some wins. So true, so true. And then Medi also says, if I trade against trend, I sell at target and call it a day. Love it. Great stuff, everyone. Awesome chat tonight. Let's wrap up. We're going to do a little game that we play in these calls and show all of you how once you're educated with this stuff, you think very alike. Great minds think alike. So we're going to do one chart tonight. So let's do the chart game. All of you know what this is. I'm going to let Zeke pick the chart tonight. So basically, Zeke's going to pick a random chart. We are all separately going to chart these on the daily time frame, and then we're going to compare our charts to see where we're similar, where we're different, and basically all of you can see how 4 different traders are looking at the same asset and what certain ones are missing, what certain ones have similarities on. So Zeke, pick a random stock that probably none of us have charted recently. Even if somebody has, just delete whatever's on your chart and start it over.
All right, give me 1 second. Let's go with Oxy, OXY. That was in my head
OXY.
earlier today. Somebody mentioned it on Twitter. I definitely don't have it charted, so. On the daily, right?
Okay. So if any of you are looking at my stream, don't be. Also, all of you in the chat, you're more than welcome to go do this while we're doing it as well and see how you compare, even though half of you are probably looking at my screen right now, but all right, let me know whenever you all are ready. Reese, congrats on your Intel shares. Any of you ready yet?
Yeah.
All right. You can share first.
Cool. Make sure I share the right one. Okay. Hope that's working there. I know Zeke, I know you said the daily, but I zoomed out a bit to the monthly, and you're approaching some pretty significant. You're getting wedged in here. You're gonna got a trend line here, trend line from the bottom of November 2020. So you are approaching a pretty significant area. You're getting squeezed here. Levels wise, above 58.65 is what I'm seeing, which you're holding for now. But like I said, probably want a few more candles here on the monthly at least. But you are approaching 2 significant levels, so you probably will be breaking out either direction here shortly. You do have some hidden bearish divergence as well on the monthly too. But yeah, for sure. Cool.
Sure. So it's funny that you did that, Papa Shonda, because I did a pretty similar thing. I just went to the weekly. But the daily just kind of seems like it's in range. Mainly between 68 and 56 more recently, but I kind of included these past couple highs and drew a bit of a supply line there. So I think that these two levels, 56 and 68, a break of those could either send you lower or maybe send you towards 77. But then if you go on the weekly, I kind of didn't go out as far as you did. I did notice that though. But I was just kind of focusing on, yeah, this demand line and then this more recent supply line that's been forming. But it's basically the same thing. You just extended it more. But yeah, I feel like it's kind of straightforward.
Thank you. Strom, you ready?
Yeah. So I mean, I did some similar things. Drawing. Let's see. Like zooming out first and looking at weekly and when I'm trying to draw some of these lines. What I saw, so like on the daily though, we're right at a kind of bouncing around between a resistance and support. And it's been flipped. It's on the resistance side. And then we're trending in right at it, like holding this trend line from support that goes a ways back. But I think the different thing here that I'd highlight, it kind of looks like a Wyckoff distribution to me a little bit.
Yep.
Like we're in the last point of support type of thing over here, or is this I can't remember. Is this supply?
I think that's supply.
Yeah. So I don't know how. Here, let me see if I can zoom in and maybe make this a little less transparent. But you look like your phase A is somewhat over here.
Yep.
And then your phase B is in here, and then you're getting your phase C potentially
Agreed.
over here. I mean, this is
Yep.
the second distribution schematic. I have the first one up as well. So I mean, you could hit new highs on that up thrust, potentially. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised with how energy is going. Actually, I'm not sure if you're able to, if I'm sharing this. Um, and just delete this. You could have another up thrust if it's a different schematic, so it's too early to
Okay.
really know. Um, so, but yeah, it looks like with this consolidation that happens here at the end of phase B, um, you could have a higher up thrust or not before coming back down. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. I will take my turn now. I think we all pretty much got that triangle. It's even on the weekly, monthly. So I have this bigger triangle. The most important thing on this chart is which way it breaks out. To zoom in like a little bit, it might be attempting this inverse head and shoulders over here with both shoulders slightly above this yellow line, which is my 200-day moving average. The flip side that's as hidden bearish divergence on the daily. I don't know if there's much of a trade in this chart right now. It looks pretty 50-50 to me. Definitely range bound, like Zeke said. And like you said, and I did not notice that. This is what I mentioned in the beginning of the game. As all of you can see on the stream, we did chart a lot of similar things, but I really liked how Strom brought up the potential for a Wyckoff schematic, which I didn't even see myself. And then I like how you zoomed out on that Papa Strata. So good stuff all around, everyone. And yeah, great call. Appreciate you three in here. Goldmeyer, thank you for also showing some support in the chat. Thank you all for being great in the chat. Tomorrow I should be live trading in premium if anybody wants to join that. And have a great weekend. Apart from that, it's been quite a crazy week. I think the most important thing to everyone here is try to relax as much as you can this weekend. Because if this week was crazy, next week's probably going to be crazier. All right, have a great night, everyone. That's it for the stream. And I will see you next week.
Thanks, Joe. Have a good night, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
You guys.